Hi there. And thanks for all the flowers. So I know a lot of people and a lot of people who have been invited here who have done much better jobs than I have. And I think I have about 10 minutes to tell you about sales. So what am I going to tell you about sales? Like, basically, all you guys know how it works. Like, we all know how to keep in shape. It's sort of the daily routines that are a little bit difficult and that keep us from getting to do what we want. So rather than giving you an academic presentation on how to structure sales, I think there are excellent books and everything about it. I'll try to give you a couple of tips or a couple of recommendations that help you on a daily basis. Is there any way that I can see my presentation on one of the screens? No, okay. So I'll have to look back at the chart all the time. Okay, so one thing that we Europeans really excel about is, I think we're being far too modest. And I can say that because I've been in the States now for 6 months, and these guys really, really, really know how to do sales. So one thing that actually helps is if you have a product, right? So if you don't have a product, it's kind of hard to do good sales. Then one thing that even works better is if you have a great product, right? Then sales are fantastic. Now, there's a couple of companies that don't have a product or that don't have scalable products, right? So think when you create your product, whether this is a product that actually can go around and be successful to sell. So if your product doesn't scale, even the best salespeople will have a very, very hard time to make it work, right? So look at your products, look at the engineers. We have tremendous engineers over here in Europe. We have lots of small countries. We have a lot of currencies, a lot of legal areas. Where we have amazing products, and we just need to go out and sell them more. So I need to brag 2 minutes about why Criteo is such a successful product. So basically what we do is we go to our clients, which are online advertisers. They have some sort of transaction-based model, after which they buy search, which they know very well. And now we've introduced the same kind of mechanics for display marketing. So basically, we're allowing our clients to, make a segmentation. Is that too loud? That's how it goes if you grow a beard. So we allow our clients to segment their users and whether they want to address new users, active users, dormant users, which are on the site. And we also allow them to make the same choice according to products, because different products or different client segments usually have different margins for them. We're able to track all these people along the funnel, and we'll post the right ad in front of the right person at the right time. And our advertisers can then, put a CPC according to what kind of clients do they want to get back or get on their site for the first time. The rest is pretty much done by Criteo. So we give back our clients the ability to run their business after KPIs instead of trying to negotiate deals with publishers, etc. So that's basically what we do. You all know this from search. Google is a very, very successful company who has brought that to excellence across the world. Now back to sales. So a couple of the principles: you should have at least one client interaction every day. Right? No matter what, on average. The higher up you are in the hierarchy, the more difficult it is. But make sure that you have, if the year has around 360 days, that you personally have 360 iterations with clients. It can be personal, it can be in events like this, it can be telephone calls, meetings, etc. But if you don't do this, you're going to have a very, very hard time in order to actually sell. And in order to do that better, well, aim for 2, right? Then, on average, after you've been through all the management and the investor meetings, etc., you end up, in the end, to have met 1 client on a daily basis. Now, the biggest part of making sales successful is actually relieve people from thinking whether they do the right thing on a daily basis. You don't want everybody to think on a daily basis whether what they do is the right stuff. You want them to act. You want them to hit the phones. You want them to be out with clients. You want them to be at trade fairs, etc. So just make sure that you have a neat prospecting. What is a client? What isn't a client? And the focus is here, like the words no or not yet, or maybe later, or your best friends here. So be very, very clear about what is it that you want your teams to hunt this quarter, what is it that you want to hunt your teams next quarter, etc. Avoid channel conflicts. Make very, very clear like who's after what. You know, I know Germans are famous for their lists and they're fable for lists. So, but in this case, it actually helps to be very, very precise who does what, because if you have a larger sales team, you have inside sales teams, you have field sales, and then you have a sales team in different countries, this can get actually quite clumsy. And then, you know, think it through to the end, execute, and then probably 2 quarters down the road or 1 quarter down the road, you need to redo it. But try to do the thinking on a quarter-by-quarter basis and then do the work in the remaining time. Planning and scaling, you know, salespeople are very, very smart. Some people would say they're also a little bit lazy. I don't think so. I think the best salespeople are very, very hard workers. But your challenge is to make it easier for the salespeople to actually go out and sell to the clients than to have the same argumentation internally and get their bonus or not. So salespeople can be very, very compensation driven. And so you need to think through your compensation model very, very clearly and prepare to change it next quarter, because salespeople are smart and they will find out any soft spot that you have in your compensation model very, very quickly. Then another thing, you know, do first things first. So start on the top of your list, like the most important client. If you sit around and wait for people to call you, the likelihood that there's anything useful in the inbound calls is minimal. You probably could stop answering the inbound calls in some cases, not for Google, but for many people, and you would still make a much better business. It tends to be a defocus. It tends to eat a lot of time. Make sure that you work on the big stuff every day first, so you start on the top of the list. It's very easy to get derailed. It's very easy to be active. It's very easy to make successes. It's very easy to make progress further down in the list with people who actually want to work with you rather than the ones that need to be convinced. But these are typically not the ones that will actually get you what you want. And when you're through with the first position on the list and the client is in danger of getting annoyed by your calls, then you move to the second position and so forth, right? Again, very Germanic list-driven approach, but it tends to work quite well. So if your list is in order, the right people have the right lists, and they do the right things on a daily basis, then you have a very, very high chance of making a fast impact. What else? Oh, let me click through that. Okay, how do you get your team to follow these priorities? A part was, you know, putting the right conceptual, etc., but how do you do it on a daily basis? You ask your sales guys or you ask your sales teams and the whole team only about the top clients that you want to move forward. You know, don't spend time talking about the inbound, don't spend time talking about the smaller stuff, just keep them reminded of their top 5 things that you want them to do on a daily basis. You announce a visit. I'm coming to London tomorrow, next week. I want to meet the top 5 clients. Go ahead, organize the meetings for me. Create a little bit of action, create a little bit of pressure for your sales teams. And in the end, you put a hit list to the wall. Like, what are the big trophies you want to hunt? Celebrate successes. So if people sign big stuff, make it a huge thing, give a lot of recommendation. There's money involved, yes, but there's also a lot of other factors, how you can motivate people, how you can, you know, bring fame to them, etc. And it's actually these small things, these smaller things, the recognition, company-wide recognition, that is the stuff that makes salespeople most proud. Now, how do you get heard by your clients? We have an increasing amount of noise in the market, and probably there's no place like the US where on every single day your client gets called by the whole Luma chart on a daily basis. So do you know the foot in the door versus door in the face sales strategy? So foot in the door is the salesman who puts a foot in the door and then slowly pushes it open, right? The door in the face is a little bit more aggressive. You really push it the first thing and you knock down your client. There's a couple of people who use the foot in the face strategy. So you knock over your client and then you actually go and talk to them. And actually, there's not so many things wrong with the foot in the face strategy. So today, test your sales pitch. In many cases, you will not have time to do an elevator pitch because there's no time to do the elevator pitch. It's not enough time. There's too many people shouting too loud. So if you cannot fit your pitch in a LinkedIn contact message, so if people don't reply to that, there's something wrong in your pitch, right? So you have to get people to listen to a very, very small message. In Germanic countries, it's Xing, or it's LinkedIn, or it's a Twitter message. So anything that is very short, that fits into a text or tweet message, that is about the attention span you have with the average people for a cold call. So try and use it. Or also, when you explain your product to your kids, to your parents, and maybe your grandparents, if they do not understand what you do, then there's something to improve with your pitch, because they should be able to tell you what you do, and they should be able to understand. So also here's some communication. In the end, you can make your clients happy when you bring them money, when you make them happy, when you make them shine. So try to go out and understand what your clients are doing, and it's never, ever been easier than it was today. Because you can subscribe to Google Alerts, you can follow them on Twitter, you can connect with them on Facebook, on LinkedIn, etc. And a lot of people are quite happily sharing what they do, right? So just one look into the profile, and then you have a perfect preparation for any kind of business meetings. And some people are very avid to share, others are less so, but most companies are very avid to share. Do some homework here. And in the end, luck seems to strike pretty randomly when we look at investing, when we look at sales, etc. A lot of these things seem to be distributed on a random basis. So you go ahead, give your luck a little bit of exposure, be a busy bee, and try to be there when it strikes, right? So a lot of salespeople are very, very busy. They have a lot of balls up in the air, and in the end, they'll be able to catch one, several, or maybe even all of them. But am I out of time? No. Oh, yeah, I am. Okay, so remember, I'm out of time. One client a day, at least. So do it today, and good luck for your sales activities. And thanks for providing such a great stage to meet like 100 clients in 2 days. So then I can go on holiday until the rest of the year.